Good, it's your boy CZARR, all rights reserved. Hopefully you're checking out Jenesis and the potion theory, another theory. Now, this angle, that hidden in plain sight, shout out to you. I already know that. So what he's telling you is that we found out there was a strip club where Jocelyn Flores, Panama, and Crystal were all related to or in an action there. Like they basically met there, and that was their association. Yes, I know that. When X went, did he go? I don't have any info on that. But they all met there. So that had to do with the situation. Now, here's what's startling about this thing. So from doing research behind the scenes, we had found out that Jocelyn was heavily involved in witchcraft. Okay. This is what was claimed by her friends, that she was heavily associated with it. And this had a lot to do with why she had to be the person that something happened to. Now, do I know what that means? No. I have no clue what that means. That she was a person who was targeted for that major reason. So her lifestyle and her being related to witchcraft in some way, as her friends say, is why she was put in a position for them to do this to her. Now, I do not know the details of it other than the fact that people that were there weren't man enough to come forward and say they were there. Still laying low to say it till this day. Do I know why? Not at all. But it is an interesting way to look at things. Like whether or not they were involved to the extent to sacrifice this young girl for the betterment of their cause. Was X aware of this? I have no clue. Or was he part of it? To my knowledge, he was not there, had nothing to do with it. It's just very interesting how these grown men would do something like this, even if they were for another man. It's weird, man. It's just weird. Like whether it's family ties, like you're willing to do this for another man that can't do it for himself. It's just so weird that you're claiming these things. It's I don't know, it's off base. And then the officer's report was even crazier. Oh, it was suicide. How? How would she have tied herself up? She was short, if you didn't know. There's no way she would have tied herself up and hung herself up. It makes no sense. A lot of it. There had to be someone else helping her do it. So that was the interesting factors about that topic because he mentioned it in the comments. So I'm just responding to it. Yes, I knew about that. I knew the strip club was the key place where Panama met them and things. And they were interacting. And that's how she knew who Crystal was in the Jocelyn angle. How she would have been in a strip club, I have no idea. But I don't know how that all fits together to them saying that witchcraft was the reason they targeted her. Is that because it worked for a better cause? So if you tell me that, that tells me a lot about witchcraft, honestly. That tells me that, number one, it can't be good. It has to be evil if it's being used as a reasoning for me to target a girl, to do stuff to her, to strangle her, to like, it makes no sense. Let alone the way the boys that were supposed to drive her away acted. Why'd you drive her to a hotel that was very short away, but it took you 40 minutes to get there? Like it's just a lot of stuff that don't make sense for an officer to rule it. Oh, this is the end of this. It makes no sense. It makes me think he's in it with y'all. Like it makes no sense. And down there, all I can say is in that Florida state, they deal with a lot of situations where there was some underhanded dealings by authority. That happens so often. It's not even funny. Those boys get tortured by the cops, basically. That's a fact. They deal with that on and off. Remember the story that I already brought out about the officers that were basically taking the work that they got from these guys and reworking it into the streets? Like it was crazy stuff. So that already told me what type of time some, not all, some of the officers are on. So it doesn't shock me to hear that. But for that targeting her because she practices witchcraft, number one, that's crazy. You should have better practices. But if that is the truth that they're alleging that that was the case, I just don't understand why it felt big to do that to a little girl and ride off. Like, I don't understand that. And how the angle is she did it alone. When we knew there was a guy in there that stayed the night on the bed then. Like, it's crazy. Like, that just sounds so crazy to me. Like, I don't get it. Like, it at the end of the day, all I have to say about that is that you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. What you do, you think you get away with, you didn't get away with it. Just because it didn't happen then and there, just because it didn't happen this year during Corona, just because it doesn't happen next year, doesn't mean you're not going to get what you deserve. That's the thing I love about the truth in this world. You reap what you sow. At the end of the day, all the bad you did in the past is going to come back and eat you. That's what happens. Like, someone right now today could be getting away with something. They be getting away with it tomorrow, next week, next month, the month after. They could get away with it the rest of 2021. But best believe, which is very rare, but best believe that they are going to get the outcome that they earned. No matter how much dodging and ducking they do in life, you're going to get the consequence you built up, one way or another. And the thing about God is, he'll remind you in your head while he's delivering your punishment. So while he's doing what he got to do to you, he's letting you remember what you did to get it. That's crazy. It's crazy, but it's so real. Like, I know so many people that got away with this and that. But then at the end of the day, when they thought they were scot-free, boom, they got it all at once, one time. They made a choice one time and got everything at once. And at the end of the day, it wasn't worth it. None of it. So for setting up a young girl, strangling her, leaving her for the cops to find, having a cop tell a false pseudo story to cover it up, however that happened, you will get your deserving. Even if you don't get it while you're alive. The funny thing is, once your eyes close permanently, you get everything at once. Where you go, there's no coming back. And once you get it for life. Like, can someone explain to me what eternity is? Can anyone competently tell me what eternity is? Eternity of pain, suffering, torture. Do you know what that feels like? So at the end of the day, was it worth it while you were alive? I wonder if you had the ability to ask everybody that is receiving the punishment, was it worth it? Something tells me 100% would tell you no, not one bit. And that's why I stay focused on what I have to do. Because people that do other things, that do off-base things, they're getting their deserving. They could live it out, enjoy every day up till then. But once your eyes close permanently, there's no coming back. You did what you did. Your deserving is what it is. Don't think what you do wrong doesn't come back to you. Like, when you lie about what you did, you hold it underhanded. I never really cared about that, because I know for a fact what happens to you when your eyes close, when everything's done and over. You're regretting everything you did. It's too late. It's too late. When you're at that point where you're laying down and you're gone, it's too late. And everything you did comes back to you. And it's in remembrance. It's brought back to your head, everything you did. And it's brought to you in a way you can't argue good or bad. You can't argue it, because it's brought to you, your intentions when you did it, your thoughts when you did it, all the wrong you did to those around you. You never prayed for forgiveness. And even if you did, you never acted out. Things you do always come back to you. Being at the age I am and having grown and been through so much, I can tell you it will all come back to you. And you won't forget why. And it will be placed in your head in a way you can't argue it, because it looks at your life and the lives around you affected. And it tells you this is your deserving versus what you've done and what you think you're owed, what you think you should get. That's brought to you. Doesn't matter how young or how old, it is brought to you. And you pay for every bit of it. You pay for every bit of it. Sometimes in life, people are dealing with stuff, they pray, and it doesn't afflict to a difference because of what they did in the past. I learned that too. Thank God I haven't had to deal with that, but I know all about it because it's always been placed in my mind and heart exactly what's right and wrong. Not what I think is right, not what I think is wrong. Literally, my actions are shown to me because I pray for that insight and I see where I made my mistakes. I see where I did the good things. Then I look to change what I cannot understand was bad at that time. I look to change them. I ask God to show me. These are important factors you need to know when you're young and growing up. Doesn't matter if it affects you this year, 10 years from now. Say 10 years, 20 years from now, it doesn't touch you. As if you're still breathing, it will. It will. Whether you want to doubt it, whether you want to believe it, whether you're saying that never happened to me, it's going to happen. It's waiting on you. It is a future event that will compromise all of that thought you had and show you you were wrong. God is a forgiving God, but he is a God of his word. That is one thing I came to understand. And I'm not talking about the God they serve through witchcraft, not talking about their dark demonic God, if that's what they believe in. I'm talking about the living and true God. You will see. These are things that only life can show you. It shows you. Because you may be winning right now, but just in a drop of dime, one hat, one step, everything could change. Because God's done with your lascivious action. He's done with your selfish antics and things of that nature. These young men that rode off with that girl and they're dead, they're going to pay for it. It's only a matter of time. It's not going to happen. Because here's the bad thing. Say you never pay for it and you die. Then you pay for it a million times over. Honestly, that's the worst and best part about life. It's that even if I know somebody's getting away with something, I know when they die, when they leave this earth and the choices they made, if you did not live by that word, you will pay for everything you did. Everything. Everything. There's nothing you could do to wish it away, to wash it away. You can't do that. You have to, because if you actually built the relationship with the true living Lord, the true God, you wouldn't make choices like that. You would think before you do it. But when you don't think before you do it and you want to live YOLO, he gives you YOLO. If you live YOLO, he gives you YOLO. You get me? And if you don't, sad enough, you will have to see it for yourself. Being someone who dealt with so much growing up and going through so many things, even things I go through on this day and age, I've come to understand he is a God of his word. If he promises healing, he gives you healing. If he promises death for situations you decided to do, for you setting people up, trying to do, he gives you death. He is a God of his word. And if you are not enacting by his word, you need to think about what God you're actually enacting by. Because if you're on the wrong side, something far worse than death awaits you. And it says it in his word. Trust me. Trust me. This is why I've come to understand my wrongs, my rights, and I try to expand on my rights because I know the depth of my wrongs and what it does. It's very important because most people don't learn from their mistakes. They don't learn to have a forgiving heart, an open heart to do the right things, to do what's right. I want what I want right now. And that's why they face an end so bitter, so dark. There is no light that can shine through. No light. All rights reserved is for humanity. Because even though your rights are reserved, so is everyone else's. All rights reserved.